Has anyone else realized that no one cares about Mario Party anymore? And okay, maybe not no one. Maybe there's some die-hard fans out there. In fact, I myself love the franchise. You know, for the most part. But for all the games we're getting on the Switch and for everyone clamoring over games like Metroid or begging for a new Animal Crossing, how often do you see people asking for Mario Party? It's so strange to me because it used to be a Nintendo staple. You had to have a Mario Party on your system. You couldn't have a Nintendo console without 17 Mario Parties coming out for that console alone. So why did it slow down and inevitably seem to just stop? Well, actually, there are some rumors circulating the internet, some fairly strong rumors, that a new Mario Party is in development, Mario Party 11, and we can expect to see it at the end of 2019. And I can guarantee you didn't know that, because I didn't know that, and when I messaged my Nintendo Switch colleague friends if they knew that, no one knew. These rumors are out there, but nobody cares. And okay, if you're a die-hard fan that's Googling Mario Party every day, maybe you did, but as someone who makes YouTube videos about Nintendo and Nintendo Switch for a living, every time I've done a video about what games do you want to see, I don't think I've seen a single person ask for Mario Party, and that's not over-exaggerating. So where did it all go wrong? How did this go from a staple game that was a huge part of all of our childhoods, that features all of the Mario characters that we love in games like Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, but in a party board game setting, why did we stop caring? That is what I want to talk about today in this video. And I'm going to start with Mario Party 10. And you guys are gonna start by liking and subscribing, please. Unless you're very upset about the whole no one cares about Mario Party thing, and then, I don't know, go ahead and do whatever. Mario Party 10, for me anyway, and for I'm sure a lot of you, was a disappointment. The franchise seems to have become so far removed from what made it great in the first place. A competitive video interactive board game where you compete with your friends and ruin friendships, and at the end of every turn, once you're done stealing coins and stars and ruining friendships, you play mini games. And the mini games were always really intense and use the system's weird gimmicks and features to its advantage to lead to some really innovative, weird, and crazy, and wacky, and all those kind of adjectives gameplay. And sure, after 10 games in the series, the mini games started to get a little bit stale, and a lot of the newer ones we were getting weren't as enjoyable as the old ones. Nintendo was simply running out of ideas after making so many of these mini games. But that wasn't the big issue. That wasn't the nail in the coffin, at least it wasn't for me. As enjoyable as the mini games are, and as much of an integral part of the games they are, at its core base, it's a board game. It's a board game that you play with your friends and you compete. And in Mario Party 9, and then again in Mario Party 10, they changed the format of playing against 3 other players, either computer players or your friends sitting next to you on a couch, where you're all individually going around the board game, doing your own thing, having your own board game adventure, and trying to compete to become the winner. They threw you all into one vehicle, into one moving object, where every time your friend rolled, they were actually rolling for you, as much as you were rolling for them on your turn. Your piece that you control also moved on your friend's turns, and if you played against the CPU was moving for you. And it became you and whoever's in your car versus the computer, which is Bowser. It completely removed that competitive aspect of playing with friends. And for me, and a lot of people, it became really boring. And it didn't really make a ton of sense for them to do that. The reason Nintendo gave for this change was on older Mario Party titles, when it wasn't your turn, they found a lot of players got distracted. They weren't looking at the screen, or they were doing other things, or they were simply just waiting for a while to have their turn. You roll, you make a move, but then 3 other players have to go before it's your turn again. They said they didn't like that. They wanted to make it so every player's move affected you, so you had to watch the screen. You had to pay attention to see what was going on, to see how you were getting moved. Sure, kind of in theory that makes sense, but if you're actually playing this game, if you're playing it the old school way, 1 up through 8, and you actually want to win, believe me, you're watching the screen while your friends are playing. You're watching them steal your coins. You're making sure they don't touch your stars. You are glued to see if they get screwed up on their turn because it's hilarious when they do. Sure, you can look away, just like when you're playing an actual board game. If you're just having some casual fun with your friends, you're not taking it too seriously, you can hold a conversation with the person playing next to you while person C's making their move. It's all part of the fun of playing a board game. It's what makes it intense. When I'm playing a board game, I want to know that every move I make, every decision I choose, or even if it's a random luck-based situation, it's all things that are happening to me that I have the most amount of control over. And if someone steals a star from me on their turn, I want my turns to be mine to have the chance to steal that star back. That's what's fun for me, that competitive nature. I'm doing my best not to screw things up on my turn, and then there's 3 other people that can screw me over, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can try and fix their mistake, but I can't go and get revenge. I can just awkwardly look at them like, why'd you screw that up for me, bud? And playing with CPUs, that's no fun. It's definitely a party game, and even on the earlier Mario parties, it's better to play with friends, but you could play with CPU and have some fun with it. Not when they're all in your car and the CPUs are screwing you up. And the fact that the mini games were obviously progressively worse, it just led to a very lackluster title. And if you look at Metacritic, I know it's a bad example, so let's go ahead and look at the user scores on Metacritic. I think it's pretty unanimous and clear to see that even with reviewers and the users, this game was just lackluster. And I'll be honest, it is the first Nintendo game that I ever returned. I bought it on launch day. I was really excited to come home and play with my friends that weekend. I tested it out myself first. I saw the mechanic. I was desperately working around the menus trying to find where the traditional game was. Because, okay, sure, the main focus is this new mode where Bowser chases you and you're all in the same car. Yeah, that's fine. Where's the other mode? Where's the 4-player mode, the all-on-all mode, the mode that I love and I grew up with, the staple that is Mario Party? And when I realized it wasn't there and I wasn't gonna find it, I didn't care. I didn't want to play that. I wanted to play traditional Mario Party. I returned it. The only reason I still have it is because it didn't sell that well, just like most of everything else on the Wii U, and it very quickly dropped down to $10 here in the States, and I picked it up at GameStop along with Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. They were $10 each. I don't want to get into a debate about which Mario Party is the best one. I know a lot of people consider 8 as the last good one because that was before it jumped over to the everyone in one car situation. But again, a lot of people hate 8. They can't stand 8. Personally, I think 8's just fine because it's that same old format of Mario Party games, and that's the main thing I love. A lot of people go straight to mini games. I enjoy the mini games, but for me, they're a means to an end. For me, it's all about the strategy that goes into the actual playing, the board game part. That's what I love. So I personally didn't mind 8, but I do understand the criticism that people have with it. But regardless of whatever one you thought was the last good one, there's no reason for them not to be good still. We're talking about a Nintendo system, and now you're talking about a Nintendo system you can play on a tabletop. It's freaking full circle when it comes to a board game. You can put this system straight on a table, you can pull off the Joy-Cons and hand one to one friend, one to another friend, and if you have another set of Joy-Cons, and suddenly you have 4 players playing a board game on an actual table on the Nintendo system. Or you can play it old school and play it on your TV. The setting is perfect. So what do you do with the game? You take it back to that old school board game setting. Obviously that's obvious because I've said that 1,000 times, that's what it's lacking. I would say you could take some of the best mini games from the older games and throw them on with new ones, but apparently Nintendo's not even sure what the best mini games are because the top 100 Mario Party mini games on 3DS was a collection of really weird and random mini games that not many people actually enjoyed. So screw that. You have a system with all these crazy and wacky features that we're really seeing highlighted in games like 1-2-Switch, even though let's just move on from that. You do see features in that game like when you have the marble game with the balls and you can I know, right? Yeah, balls. Okay, let's move on from that. Let's be adults. Well, you have the balls in your hand. See, no, I did that on purpose because I'm not an adult. And the controller has HD rumble to the point where you can actually tell just by feel if there's 1, 2, 3, or 5 little balls in the controller. You can feel them rolling around in the controller. I'm moving past that one, but you get it. Stuff like that. Or the fact that you do have that stupid sandwich eating game where you open your mouth, open and close, and the Switch registers it. You can imagine the kind of crazy and wacky things they can make out of this Joy-Con situation, the Switch situation, as far as mini games go. You could really, for the first time in a long time, revamp the mini games and do very new and creative things. Not to mention Nintendo's on a really hot streak right now of innovating. Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, a lot of what they're doing on the Switch are really innovative versions, really creative and new, fresh looks into their old series and breathing new life into them. I could definitely see a more creative mindset and a big change coming to mini games. But here's the kicker, here's the big one, here's the thing that would just make, just so much sense. And they're all behind me right here, Amiibos. Amiibos. Most of the Mario Party crew, if not all of the Mario Party main crew, have an amiibo. And let's be honest, amiibos, so far, the only decent and actual purposeful meaning to life they've had, past looking cool on a shelf, is Super Smash Brothers. You can scan them into Smash Brothers and you can play with your amiibo, level it up, get it to level 99, make it crazy strong. It stores its memory on the actual amiibo. You can take it to a friend's house and you can kick their ass with the amiibo you've trained up. Awesome. Apart from that, all the amiibos have ever been used for is unlocking stupid things in Zelda. There's some cool things like Epona, but then in other games it's just skins or outfits or just nothing that's actually really meant anything. And there was a really awesome video by my friend Arlo, who's been on my channel before, and I really enjoyed making that video. Make sure to go check it out. He made a really great video about the amiibo situation and the fact that amiibos would have made a great game on their own right. Like LEGO Dimensions or like the Skylanders video game, where it was an actual game where these universe of characters came together and you could play with them and you could do stuff with them and they had an actual purpose. But bring out a Mario Party game where you play with your amiibos. You either scan them in and they're the CPU characters. If you're missing some characters, you can train them up, you store things on them, they have records about how many mini games they've won, yada yada yada, or you actually play as your character. You pick one and you can actually scan in and play as that amiibo, and you can level that amiibo up yourself, and that can be your go-to character. Maybe even have a trait wheel for the characters that's stored onto the amiibos as well. So at start it's kind of all just luck-based and random. As they level up and they do more things, if by luck they just keep winning mini games, maybe they get better at mini games in general. Or if they're just lucky enough to keep getting stars or stealing coins from someone, they get better at thieving and stuff like that. That's kind of what they aim towards or what they go to. That's their go-to thing. But either way, out of all the games Nintendo has, all the franchises they have, Smash Brothers and Mario Party is a perfect actual use for these damn collectibles that sit on our shelves, and for me in boxes, because there is no reason to open them. Some people think they look cooler out of a box. I think they look better in a box, and apart from Super Smash Brothers, there's no reason to open most of them. Nobody seems to care about Mario Party anymore, and I don't think it's because we all grew up and moved past it. I don't think it's because we don't want to play a board game. I think it's because slowly and surely they got worse and worse as less love went into them and they tried to mix it up and change it in a way that no one really liked. But never has there been a more perfect system for a Mario Party game than the Switch. You take it back to that old school route, you make it amiibo accessible and have some cool features with that, you integrate the Joy-Cons and the weird wacky features of the Switch into the mini games, and you just breathe some fresh life into it, and you would have a Mario Party that I would for sure pick up and have a ton of fun with. So, you closet diehard Mario Party fans, or even just people that have nostalgia for it, maybe you grew up with the series like I did, it's time to speak out and get excited for a new Mario Party game. If these rumors are true, and there are one coming, what do you want to see from it? Or do you even care? Let me know down below. Let's start a conversation. Let's be the first people in a very long time to make a big splash in the Mario Party community, to actually stand up and have our Mario Party voices heard. I'm being a little bit too extreme, aren't I? But let me know what you think down below about the Mario Party situation. Do you want another one? If you do, what do you want from it? Or do you think it's time they just did away with it? Or do you love Mario Party 10 and you think it was incredible? I'd love to know that too. Remember to like this video, as I said at the start. Subscribe, because it makes us very bestest of friends. I screwed that up, but that's okay. As always, I want to thank the lovely Patreons that make all this possible each and every week. I really do love you guys. Thank you so much. Also, this is absolutely not sponsored right at this moment, but if you remember, Amino App sponsored a couple of my videos recently, and I made a BeatEmUps page as part of one of the sponsorships. Well, since that last sponsorship, the page I made has actually taken off, and there's hundreds of people in there now sharing posts every day, commenting, and it's a great way for me to interact with you guys outside of here. It's a great place just to hang out and talk and share pictures of things. So if you're interested in that, there'll be a link in the description. You don't have to. Again, this isn't sponsored. I just legitimately want to talk about this. I want to grow this page. I also didn't want to start a page and get you guys over there as part of a sponsorship and then be like, well, see ya. I actually do like it and I want to keep using it. This is the awkward part where I try and think of a funny way to end the video. Bye.